Hello friends, this video on Kingdom Animalia part 14 is brought to you by examfear.com. No more fear from exam. So now we will talk about the next phylum, that is Nematoda. So what are we going to talk about in Nematoda? So these are also worm-like creatures. So let us see, what are they? They are also termed as Ascomynths. They are known as Ascomynths. I mean, it is in rhyming with the platyhelminths. What is platyhelminths? These are Ascomynths. Now, you might be wondering, why are they called Ascomynths? Okay, we will see that. Once we study about their structure, then we can talk about that as well. So looking at the name nematodes, the term nemato means thread. So these are worms which have thread-like structures. So they are very thin worms. So let us look at some of the important characteristics of nematodes. Now even for nematodes, large number of species exist. Almost around 15,000 species exist. They have complex body differentiation. So now that we have come quite far, the body differentiation is going to be complex. Body is bilaterally symmetrical. So here also the same thing. If you divide it, you will be able to get two equivalent right and left halves. Body made up of 3 layers of cells, that is triploblastic. So hereafter, for most of the phylum, you will see that they are all coelomates. I mean, not coelomates, they are all triploblastic and they are all symmetrical. So these are triploblastic, that is, they have all the 3: ectoderm, endoderm and mesoderm. So they have all the 3. So it will be, so if you look at a cross section of any of these, you will be able to see an ectoderm, then you will have inside endoderm. So this will be your ectoderm, which is the external one, and you will have an endoderm, the internal one, and in between you will have the mesoderm, that is this one. I mean, this portion is mesoderm. Talking about coelom, these are pseudocoelomate. You remember what was pseudocoelomate? Those with a false coelom. So even though the true coelom is not present, but there is some coelom-like structure present here. So where is that coelom-like structure present? So if you see that coelom-like structure is present somewhere here, you will have some coelom-like structure present here. So which is not a true coelom, but it resembles somewhat like a cavity. So that is why it is called pseudocoelomate. So this is again something new. Before this, everything were acoelomate, whether it was platyhelminths or Coelenterata or Porifera, everything was acoelomate. So this is the first time that someone has a false coelom. Level of organization is organ system level of organization, because here you are going to have distinct organ systems. You are going to have distinct digestive, respiratory, excretory systems. They are cylindrical and unsegmented. So there is no segmentation seen on these kind of worms. I'm sure you would have seen these kind of worms in your day-to-day life. You would have seen some worms, a thin thread-like structure, plain, no segmentation on their bodies. So they are commonly seen also. So they are unsegmented. They are parasitic in nature, therefore they are also termed as parasitic worms, because they live on another host body and derive its nutrition from their body. So now here, as I said, pseudocoelom is a distinction for nematodes, because this is the first time it is seen. Now this pseudocoelom is not lined with a layer of tissue, therefore it is not very distinct. Whereas in coelomates, you will see that the coelom is very neatly, will have a complete lining, which is known as peritoneum. I discussed that before, right? Okay. So these are the basic characteristics of nematodes. They have circular cross section, that is why they are also known as roundworms. So if you look at the cross section, at any point they have circular cross section. So they are roundworms. Like how in case of platyhelminths, because they are dorso-ventrally flattened. That is, from back to front, they are flattened. What do we mean by dorsi-ventrally back to front? That is, suppose if this is the back of an animal and this is the front. So if you keep on flattening it, so what happens? It becomes flat. So that is how the platyhelminths are. So they are called flatworms. Nematodes, they have round cross section, so they are called roundworms. Now, talking about their being parasitic or not, mostly they are free living. Now, when I talk about parasitic worms, an example of parasitic nematodes would be the guinea worm. It is parasitic on human beings. Again, the filarial worm, which causes the disease filariasis. So that filarial worm is also parasitic on human beings. They stay inside the human body, receives its nutrition, and at the same time it causes diseases to the human body. So guinea worms, filarial worm, these are some examples of parasitic worms. Okay. They are mobile, that is, they can move from one place to another. Now, what contributes to their mobility? Why? So what makes them mobile? Just now I told that they have a pseudocoelom, that is the false coelom. Now this false coelom allows the body wall muscles and the digestive tract muscles to act independently. So this false cavity, where is this false cavity? It is between the body wall and the gut wall. So this cavity actually allows the body wall muscles and the gut wall muscles to act independently. And due to this movement of the muscles, the organisms are mobile. Right? Also, the body wall has an elastic cuticle. So the presence of elastic cuticle over the body, you have a layer of elastic cuticle. So how does it help? The layer of muscle fibers which are present under the epidermis, that means under this layer, the outer layer, is present a layer of muscle fibers. So body is covered with cuticle which may have spines which can ensure protection. So this cuticle will ensure protection, and this elasticity will also help in its movement. So there are muscle fibers present below the hypodermis. So these all together helps in the mobility of the nematodes. Let us look at some examples of nematodes. Ascaris and Wuchereria are some examples of nematodes. So you can see there is no segmentation on their body, but some dot-like structures you can see, right? So what are they? They are nothing but the spine-like structures which I was talking about just now. So they are covered with those spine-like structures. Okay, let us now talk about the organ systems of the nematodes. That means, as I said, they have got the different systems distinctly. So let us see how and what are the different systems that are present in the nematodes. So first we will talk about the digestive system. So here in digestive systems, again for the first time we have two openings, that is mouth and anus. So they have a complete digestive system. Till now, first Porifera coelenterata, no digestive system. Next in platyhelminths it was there, but there was just one opening. But here you have two openings. One is for ingestion, that is mouth. The other one is for egestion, that is anus. So mouth is for ingestion and anus is for egestion. So this is how the structure of a nematode looks like. So you have mouth here and you have anus here towards the end. The digestive tract is complete with a well-developed muscular pharynx. So what is the role of the pharynx, muscular pharynx? Because it helps in the movement of the food inside the body. Because the food is entered or intake of food happens through mouth, then it goes to pharynx. Now if the pharynx is muscular, that movement of the pharynx will actually help the food to go inside the body. right? Now here, since you have two openings, there is one more advantage, that the food which is to be taken in, that is the incoming food, and the outgoing food, that is the undigested food, they do not get mixed up with each other. So one comes through mouth, the other goes out through anus. So there is no mixing between the incoming and the outgoing food. So here we have a mouth, we have intestine, we also have anus. So we have the different parts. The digestive system is complete. It is simple as well. I mean, not a very complex digestive system. A simple, complete digestive system. Talking about the excretory system. So how excretion happens in case of nematodes. So for that, they have specialized excretory spores present. So where are the excretory pores? They are present somewhere here. So here they have the excretory pores. So through this excretory spores, all the waste materials of the body are thrown out. And also the cilia or flagella which are present in them also helps in this process of excretion, because they helps in movement of the food, movement of the waste products outside. So excretory pores actually help in excretion. Next is the nervous system. So let us see how the nervous system looks like. So here also they have a better developed nervous system. So here they have a nerve ring which is made of 4 ganglia which serves as brain. So ganglia is nothing but a simple form of brain which is present at the anterior end. So again, cephalization is there. So cephalization started from Platyhelminthes and it will be present in all other higher animals. So here also cephalization was present, and therefore the brain and the sensory organs were towards the anterior end. So where is the nerve ring here? So this structure which you see here is the nerve ring. Here this red colored structures which you see, it is nothing but the esophagus, that is the food pipe. Through this the food enters. This is the mouth. So the food intake happens here and then the food enters through the esophagus. Well, talking about the nervous system, this is the nerve ring, and here you have a nerve cord. There are two nerve cords running on the dorsal and the ventral end. So this is the back end and this is the front end. So here you have a dorsal nerve cord running throughout the length of the body, and this side you have a ventral nerve cord running through the length of the body. Now from the ring arises nerves which run the length of the body on dorsal, ventral and lateral surfaces. So there are 3 types of nerve cords which run here: dorsal nerve cord, lateral nerve cord and ventral nerve cord. So lateral nerve cord, we cannot see it from here, it is on the lateral sides. So back side is dorsal, front side is ventral, and on the sides are the lateral. They have got specific functions, like the dorsal nerve cord. This nerve cord helps in the motor control. Lateral nerve cords helps in sensory control. And ventral nerve cord helps in both of them. So different types of nerve cord have specialized functions for each of them. So that is why it is said that the nervous system here is more specialized and more developed. Specialized sensory organs or receptors are also present. What are those organs here? Because here we do not see something as eye or something. So what are they? Sensory bristles covering the body provide sense of touch. So throughout their body you have some bristles like structure, small structures. They act as our skin. So they are sensitive to touch. 2 small amphids on head, they are chemoreceptor organs. So here you have 2 small amphids, so which are sensitive to chemicals. So these are some of the specialized sensory organs present in nematodes. So one of the best example of nematodes which we took was Ascaris, and these are nothing but the small roundworms which are generally found in human intestines also, and that is why they are also known as small intestinal roundworms. Some of them also have pigmented eye spots. So eye spots, amphids and bristles, these are the different cells. So let us talk about the reproduction in nematodes. So how do they reproduce? Now for sexual reproduction, their sexes are separate. That is, there is a separate male and a separate female. And it happens by the fusion of male and female gametes. Fertilization is internal, that is, the fusion happens inside the body of the organism. Now, the males and females are distinct, and it is also seen that the females are generally longer than the males. So if you look at the size here in this picture, if you see, this is the male and this is the female. So the size of the female is longer than that of the males. Now, as a result of fertilization, the fertilized eggs which are formed, they have a thick wall, and that thick wall protects them, and therefore they can survive in adverse conditions. Talking about the development, it can be direct or indirect. Direct in the sense there is no larval stage involved, and indirect where a larval stage is involved. So in some it is direct development, while in others it is indirect. Thank you. Please visit www.examfear.com to watch more videos, attempt free online test, get free study material, find tutors and mentors. Thank you once again.